everyone. Welcome to the Awesome Day of FileMaker Training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of fmtraining.tv, where every day at this time slot, we are having awesome FileMaker training on a wide variety of topics. And today is going to be no different than that. So we are talking about MonkeyBread, which is a great product.
And today, let's talk about the version 15.2 of the MBS plugin. So, as usual, we got an announcement. And so let's start with the current
Am I allowed to
function count.
editorialize here? Oh, no. You've already had 7. I thought you're up to 8,000 functions now.
No. It's here with statistics page there.
Okay.
So we have 7,661.
All right.
So it's going up. It's already 156 up this year.
Yeah, look at that. That's like our stock price is going up. I love it.
So we have a lot of functions. And finally, you can use Saxon in FileMaker. So a lot of people ask over time about XLST3, xQuery 3 for XML transformation. This has been in the works by me for the last 6 months. It took a while to integrate it, and the Saxon company had to make a bug fix update to fix the issues I found. So we had to wait for this update to be released. So now we can actually use XLST in the plugin. So let's just open an example and hope that everything works as usual. So let's see. We have an XML file here, and we have an XLST transformation. And let's just see if it works. Yeah. So this is our input XML data. You see we have records here, title, artist, country, and we have a transformation that basically goes through the XML, matches all the records, and then picks data from the records to fill in the HTML. And this outputs, well, some HTML, and we show it here. So FileMaker comes built in with XLST version 1. And the MBS plugin brings you the version 1 free of charge, included with the XML functions. But if you want version 2 or 3 with more capabilities, you need to have the Saxon library. It's the only way, and it's a commercial library, and that's why we charge for it, for using it. So, yeah. I should go through this a little bit. So there's just a Saxon XLST function where you pass in the XML and the transformation, and you get back a result. We need this in Germany currently for electronic invoices.
Say that again. You need it in Germany for what specifically?
For electronic invoices.
Okay. So there's a government requirement that electronic invoices are
XML. Yeah.
In version 3. Okay.
Yeah. So, and if you want to do the XML validation, you would have to use Saxon. So let's see. We also have XPath queries. That's a query language where you can pick things from an XML file. So you have some XML, and you have a query string, and you can run it, and you get back a result, which is also XML.
Okay.
This can be very useful if you have to do XML transformations.
Okay.
So then we have XML validation. So you may have some XML, and you may have some schema definition, and then you can, I didn't put in a license key, sorry. Then you can get a validation result.
All right, so I'm going to ask Margaret if she has any. Margaret's more of a intermediate-ish developer. She's been around us a long time. So the question is, Margaret, do you have any questions about XML at all at this moment? Right? Does it remind you of anything?
Well, we can. I know that we're trying to get so you can export FileMaker into an XML code, and so you can fuss with it. But
yeah, you know, it might, for those of you thinking about this, or if you're beginners, right? JSON versus XML, right? JSON is a newer construct, but they have different uses, but they are kind of a structured format, shall we say, right? It's just text, right, Christian? It's still just text. XML is just text.
Text, yeah. No, I have to find the sample invoice.
You find your sample invoice. When you have it, we will. So yeah, I mean, it's whenever I see XML and JSON, I'm always wondering, because XML isn't going away. It's going to be around like JSON for a long time, right? So JSON is the current, I don't know, the flavor of the month, it seems like.
So let's take on. This is a sample invoice as a PDF. It's in German, yeah. But you see there's customer data and there's somewhere listing of things they bought. And the XML is here. This is the XML version. And we have a lot of companies which would prefer to only get an XML, or optionally the PDF with XML embedded. Nobody wants paper anymore. And a lot of companies don't want to have PDFs as normal PDFs anymore. So they want to have the XML because they can process it automatically. So you don't need any human to actually do a lot of
backup. So if you have a PDF, I mean, Margaret, a lot of times you can put stuff in a PDF. PDFs are really interesting, like almost like a container. They can hold a lot of stuff. So you're saying that we could embed, it makes sense. I know we could already embed forms, but we could embed XML. So then you could drag and drop the PDF into, say, FileMaker, and it could read the XML and parse it out.
Yeah, we have this attachments in DynaPDF. Oh no, here PDF attachments is. So you can take whatever PDF you want. You can embed a file into it. And let's say I take this PDF and say extract, and it will show me this XML file. But I can also just say I take the HTML file here, attach, no, and add attachment, this button.
There you go.
So I take the difficult, HTML file. Now I have the HTML file. I can attach the attachments and export the file. And now I have a file which actually contains another HTML file. Let me just find it. So this is well, it's all compressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Compressed.
But I can clear here and throw it back in, and then say extract, and I think I found a bug.
You may have found a bug. Write that down. 7,661.
No, it's probably the loop here.
In the actual extraction, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but I
so
mean,
it
but the
picks
big,
the same file twice. So
I'd be
it's-
shocked if this wasn't fixed the next day or two.
It's probably a bug in the example.
But this big picture, so you could have XML embedded in an invoice, and you can slurp it through the plugin into FileMaker, parse it, and then load it into, okay.
Yeah. $index. So somewhere here is a little logical bug. I have to find it later.
That's fine. You don't have to do it live right now.
So now let's take this Factor X invoice as a text field, put it in here, and say show invoice. And this thing will apply to XML transformations to make from this invoice XML an intermediate XML, and from this XML an HTML. And the HTML is displayed here, so we can use XML transformations to turn the XML of the invoice into a nice HTML file to view.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. It's nicer than the PDF.
Yeah, I think I showed that before, but the key thing is now section is finished in the plugin. You can use it, you can deploy it, and enjoy it. So.
Yeah, no, this is really awesome, especially for, like I said, I don't know when the US will begin doing XML invoices, but at some point, presumably, we should head that way.
Yeah, after the next election,
Yeah, at some distant point in the future. Anyway, but yeah, for any Europeans, which we have many, or anyone, frankly, who needs XML, this is really awesome. So, and there'll be other uses for XML and outside of invoices as well. So.
Yeah. So with the invoices, we also have the validation, where you can apply the business rules to the validation, and you should not accept an invoice which doesn't validate, because you would get trouble if you have a tax audit later. Okay,
Yeah, that
so
makes sense.
if you don't have any questions about the XML, I will just go to the
I
next
don't
thing.
see any people are typing.
Yeah.
Talking about
So we have some new shortcuts. So let's just open any database. If you go and FileMaker in the definition dialog here for field types, you know that we have the shortcuts here. That's built into FileMaker. And people enjoy pressing here Command D to switch a field to date. Now, if you go into a calculation field, let's just make a new one. Create a calculation. Then you also have here the field types, and the plugin adds the shortcuts.
that's nice.
It's
That's a nice little ah.
yeah, point of detail. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you need these shortcuts, you can also use your Command D, whatever. You can switch between the types. And I think that's a nice addition. And I don't know, maybe Claris adds it someday themselves.
At some
Then
point.
I
But
need to remove it, you know.
yes. But until then, we appreciate the fact that you've made it consistent.
So the next thing is we have a new DynaPDF render job function. So the idea here is that we like sometimes to render PDF pages as pictures.
Mm-hmm.
For example, for our document management database, we may need preview pictures for all the pages.
Yes.
And the render job is something that runs in the background. So you start it, it runs in the background, and eventually you can have a script trigger, and you have a ton of options you can set with a big JSON. And this includes things like output paths, like you can have it write image files on disk. You can have it write new records. So there's output file name, there's a SQL statement can run, there's a script that can run on the end. This allows you to have the plugin generate more PDF pages as needed, and you don't need to wait.
That's really
So
cool,
let's
actually.
find the example file. Here's one. I need a PDF. Yeah, let's take the manual and click run and see what happens. Yeah, so we have 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. You see it's counting up here.
Yes.
So we are rendering all these PDF pages into records in the background. You can do whatever you mind. You can open my dialog, like whatever you like. The plugin is in the background rendering the PDF pages.
Okay, what happens if you leave this layout?
Nothing. It will continue to.
It will continue to do? Okay, that's really cool.
Oh, but it will not find a database to put it into. Yeah.
What the hell?
So,
I walked in halfway through this. Where are those being created at?
there's an input PDF here, and the plugin will go through the pages and create here 867 pages. And yeah, we also created temporary picture files on the way. So this is the idea for, management tools or whatever for document management, that you can tell DynaPDF to do a render job and to render one page, or you can render some pages or all pages. You can store them in image files or in records. That's your choice. And we tell it here with a SQL statement that it should put all the images into records.
So it can separate one single PDF into a ton of separate records automatically in the background without you interfering with it.
And you have options here like image resolution. And so I think it was very handy for a client, and maybe other people have use for it.
Yes.
And one client, they have very big PDFs. And if you drop such a PDF into FileMaker, it takes a few minutes for the image to render.
I hate that.
And with this function, you can have this rendering happening in the background while the user still does something. So
instead of it like staring at the little circle ball waiting for things to happen, you can move on and it'll just take care of it. That's really nice.
no.
I'm really regretting missing the beginning of that demo. I'm thinking that's a big thing. So yeah. Okay.
Should I run it again?
Well, okay, back up. I don't understand where the record's being created at. Because if you close the window, so it's not on the client or it's.
This is a local database. It's my
Okay.
demo database.
Okay. So so what are you doing? What are we doing?
I drop in here a PDF file with 800 pages.
Okay.
And I have a script which sets some options.
Mm-hmm.
Like here, image resolution we want, or we could make it a little bit higher. The file name for the script to trigger when it's done. The file format, we make here an output path, a temporary folder where we can store images. And
okay, so that's fine, but it was running in the background, or what was it doing?
Yeah, it was running. So when you run the script will finish, and now no script is running, but the plugin in the background is still making these PDF pages.
So you're not waiting on FileMaker. The plugin is handling.
Well,
it for
but you really can't still. I mean, but the client's busy. I mean, it's kind of single-threaded, right? I mean,
No, this is a multi-threaded.
It's a what, Mark? What do you say?
Multi-threaded.
This is a second thread. So let's see here. There's my activity monitor. FileMaker.
Okay.
So FileMaker is running, and you see we are using some CPU time.
Okay. But you really, okay. I just.
So there are now two threads running. There's a main thread for the user interface and the second thread for the plugin to render pages.
Really? Okay.
And you can run several of them. So on a server, you could, for example, have several PSOS scripts, and each script could run a render job or several render jobs. Yeah.
All right.
So there may be other things we could do with a PDF in the background.
Oh,
if people
sure.
have ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
There'd be a lot you could do with that.
Okay, so we have background rendering of PDF pages. We also can read image resolution. We can do bidirectional drawing of text into a PDF, which you may not need in the USA, but if you want to draw Arabic or Jewish text, Hebrew,
yeah.
Yeah, you may use that. And DynaPDF can now output bigger TIFF images with more than 4 GB of size, I think. So let's go next thing, list dialogs. So you may know that we have this little list dialog feature here where you can pick something and you have a search box. And if you configure it, you can have check marks and you can have additional buttons. Additional buttons got upgraded to define whether you need a selection for the other button. Let's take a look. That other button label. So let's make a button there. So you can have your own buttons in the dialog, and you can define whether this button needs a selection or not. So let's just copy this.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, people do amazing things with this little dialog. You know, now you need a selection for the button to be enabled. And people love that because they love to make those little picker dialogues where you just pick something from a different table without switching layouts or without building your own dialog in FileMaker. You can also swap the button, the OK and the cancel button, which we do by default for Windows. And you can define what value is returned for every button you click. So it doesn't need to be the OK, cancel, or other.
Got it.
So
can you have it so
that.
it requires like a specific selection, or is it just any selection, out of curiosity?
No, the idea was here that something. So let's like so you pick something and then it's enabled, otherwise
Yeah.
it's disabled.
Got
So
it.
people may have to say you have here you pick something, and then you could also have another thing here like delete
Mm-hmm.
or
Oh,
show
yeah.
details or whatever.
Yeah.
You could have a button for a different action.
That makes sense.
So then we have auto completion for file path dialogs. So let's say you have a variable here like $save path is something, and now you have a function that needs a file specification. Let's say spot, and then you have to specify a file path. Then you get here the auto completion
Huh.
for your variable.
Nice.
It's amazing how many dialogues FileMaker has. So,
Yeah,
this little variance like this specify output file dialog exists several times, like in different variations. Maybe not every file specification has here, like this email checkbox. So they may have two variants of those dialogs. And so I enabled the autocompletion for more dialogs.
Which we are always down for. It's still one of my favorite MBS features, unequivocally. So.
Yeah. Then if you do search, find, perform find and enter find mode off. Oh yeah. So when you turn it on, pause on, it's red.
Oh, that's nice.
And if not, it's false. So, and new in this version is that if you click on enter find mode, it will highlight the next perform find.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
you know where those two are belonging together. So if you have two, yeah, it picks the next one.
How'd you jump to that? You said tab key. Is that what you did, or what was it?
No, I just click on it.
And it highlights
you
it.
See,
Hides
see
the
it.
find that belongs to it. That's really cool.
So it watches the levels. Like that's the code I wrote for if and if and for the loops, and it does also do transactions.
Oh, is that MBS? I'm so used to that. I didn't realize that was MBS specific.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much for making my coding easier, Christian.
Yeah, I love it for the loops, yeah.
Oh yeah, loops for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I did not realize that was not base.
Okay. Another thing is new in this version is a little bit improved auto completion for the 3-level names, MBS XL dot book dot. No, that's wrong. Add conditional. So if you have function names with 2 dots, I optimize it so it does 2 dots better.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's just, I'm tuning this autocompletion every time because people find different quirks, different things that need adjustment. So, okay, let's switch to another topic, variables. You may know that FileMaker has built-in variables, 3 levels, and with the plugin, we're adding a 4th level, and with shared memory, actually a 5th level. So on the variable functions, people like to store variables, but they also like to have something like lists where they can add values and remove values. And access to a variable is thread safe. So you can just put something in an MBS variable and append a value to a list in a variable, and you don't need to don't need to care about threading, especially on a server. So if you would want to do the append value yourself, you would get the list, you would add a value, you would put the list back. But what happens if a different script on a server runs at the same time? Maybe 2 scripts at the same time get the list, modify the list, and then one wins the race to put the value back.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And the append value here helps because it does it atomic, so you don't have this race condition. So you can put in values, and when you want to get the values back, we have a pop value thing, which can get you the value back. Also thread safe, so only one thread gets the value. But this is maybe a more advanced feature for people writing server scripts.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. That's where people, Margaret, you can see where a server process could run into itself, right? Or into another. Yeah.
It walks into itself. So you basically make use of these variables.
We've had that happen before. It normally just takes a little bit of planning.
Much faster. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. That's cool.
So if you want to take this a level higher, we have a version which takes JSON. So the plugin has a variable. The variable contains a JSON array, and you can just stuff in JSON into the array and then pop it out again. And that helps you to do the same as before with the list, but now it's JSON, so you can put whatever structures data you want. And this could, for example, be a job list. Like you have a list of JSON values to do one at a time, and you could have several scripts working on the list. So you have functions where you can add or move values on this list. Yeah, so that's safe.
No, absolutely. Okay, cool. It's legitimately quite cool. Yeah, Kyle Williams says, I always love when Christian provides updated plugins. Many new features every time. MBS is definitely my favorite. Yes.
Yeah, you can imagine that every function we add has a client who asked for it. And often it's just 1-2 people needing something, like here with the audit logging. So for the audit logging, there are people using UID fields. So instead of using the record ID, the plugin can refer to a field, to a record with the UUID for the audit logging. And the plugin needs to know what the name of the field is for the UUID. Now, we used to have a few customers using the UUID feature, and they just named the field ID all the time, so every record has an ID field. But now I got a client who names the fields with the IDs different for every table, so he needs to tell the plugin for every table what's the name of the UUID field, and we got a new function for this client, and I'm sure some other client will eventually like this.
Interesting. So you designate the UUID fields and then put in what their names are across all the tables. Okay.
Yeah, it's a list of the field names.
Yes.
Okay. And technically, you could of course just get this field list with some other functions to query the table list, and build it automatically on startup if you have a name schema for this.
Got it.
Then we got tables for the EXO files. I'm not sure, do I have a sample for this? This basically, if you have your spreadsheet, you can have a separate table with some colored styles. There's a no, I don't see it. Did I make an example for this yet? If someone needs that, get autofilter. No, this is just more autofilter, yeah. And the whiting data also, that's just normal examples. So I don't have an example file for this. Okay, then maybe we check the other thing here. We have a new function for turning JSON to CSV data. That's also a thing I made for a client. They have JSON data, they need to output a CSV, they don't want to write it themselves, so they ask their favorite plugin vendor to just make it.
Go ahead and fix that for me.
Yeah. So you have some JSON data, and you have, field names, and you have values, And then the plugin can output the CSV data. And there's the option that we pick the field names from JSON and use them as the header for the CSV. We scanned several entries here to find this list. So not every record does need to have every field. Like here's the price missing, so this will be empty. And you can decide the delimiter. So it can be a comma or a semicolon or whatever character you like.
Got it. Okay, yeah. This is the thing. If
Hey,
I needed
Kyle
this,
Williams, do you have a need for this? Is any interest? It's kind of, I mean, I can't use that immediately, but Kyle's the kind of guy that'd probably use that.
Now the
immediately
idea
transfer.
is if you have JSON and you need CSV, you can look in our function list and you find a function to do that and you are happy.
Yes, you don't have to do it yourself or go through the pain and agony of trying to figure that out. Just smack an MBS function in there and call it a day.
So we got also a few updates on some open source libraries and then your extension parameters. Let's go through the list of so the release notes and see what else we have. Yeah, we have a few new Python functions. So if you integrate Python, you can now use plugin functions to know the time and which compiler was used to build the Python. And the time functions can be useful if you need to provide a time value to Python and you need to know the current time and whatever Python uses as the units for time.
Makes sense.
So then we have two helper functions for people who write tools around FileMaker script workspace. You can set the focus to the script list. We also have plugin functions to pick a certain script to open it, so you can automate things within FileMaker script workspace.
Huh. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I might actually like. There are scripts that I edit all the time. It'd be nice to just automatically open up into that script without having to remember the number.
Then for our field picker extension, here the field name and type for the tooltip is now asked with a different function, so it should be faster for people with big databases.
Oh, that's nice.
So, asking FileMaker for the metadata on the fields takes some time, and I think we got it a little bit speed up by using different way to ask for the type.
Which is be nice. That's a great little function, honestly. Now times I go like, wait, I don't remember what this was, and I hover over it, and you tell me is great.
So lots of changes. Let's go through the list of new functions if I missed something. And otherwise, I think I also have a new example to show, which I made yesterday for client, and that's for using MBS with Gmail to send emails. It's
Yes.
all the scripts you need to do the Osos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
So I had this example for Microsoft Office 365. And a client asked me if I have something similar for Gmail. And then I decided, well, I could just change the example to use Gmail too. So I made a copy of the example and started modifying it until it worked. So the key thing here is that we have a webhook because we are doing this locally. So when we get the callback from the JavaScript with our token, we want to have a webhook waiting for it. And the plugin can open a webhook, which is basically a little web server running within FileMaker that can deliver data. And whenever a request comes, we just say, OK, and trigger a script with whatever data came. So we can go to the accounts page for Google and just ask with our scope, which is for mail, and the redirect URL, which is a localhost, and the client ID to ask for a login. And when we get the webhook, we can inspect what data Google sent us and store it in fields basically. And then we have a script to take the token from the JSON. And once we have the token, we go and make another request to Google here to the token function to get us an access token. And we store this again here, the result in fields. And then pick the token from the JSON. And then we have an access token, and we can use that to send an email. Here's the send email function. So we build an email, some text, some subject. The server is gmail.com, username. And here finally the OAuth token goes into a special option. And then we can just call perform and the email is sent. So we can still send emails even if you need OAuth and token. And if you have another service for using OAuth, you can probably just adapt this example because the changes for Microsoft are basically always the URLs here. The name of the scope is differently because Microsoft has different scopes for SMTP and IMAP and other things like contacts. And here we just needed one scope for mail. And then for Microsoft, we also had to add a tenant ID, which we don't need for Google. So tenant would be the organization that has 365 account. And you also need to get a client ID and client secret from Google or Microsoft. So by Google, there's a Google Cloud Console where you go, you create a little project, and your project then has its credentials. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. That's actually, because I've had people ask about this before in relation to MBS, trying to figure out Google.
Yeah,
email
people
OAuth.
ask things like this all the time because, well, Google
doesn't make it easy.
disabled using passwords long ago, your account password, and now you need to make app-specific passwords until you have, or when you have two-factor authentication, and then eventually they want to get rid of that and have everyone use open authentication.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, yeah. So we have to go through this. And
the pain and agony. But it's simplified because there's a sample file for you that's got it already working.
Yeah. So here's the one for Gmail coming with the next plugin release, or you email me. And in the curl examples, we have here the Office 365 one.
Got it.
Yeah. Do we have any questions?
No. Just talks about this is an awesome plugin, which is true. Yeah, I don't see
no
any
questions.
I don't see any at the moment. So
I was just noticing that after I bought my upgrade or my renewal of my MonkeyBread license, I got a bunch of emails and I have license keys I need to put in the software, right? So there.
Technically, you can delay that to the date where you start deploying a new plugin.
Right, yeah. I'm just thinking ahead, right? So, yeah.
So the best thing is always to put it soon into your start scripts. So you probably have some MBS registration script. And
yeah, I'm thinking that's the case.
So you deploy the new license key before you deploy the new plugin.
Yeah, it's always a good idea. Hot tip for success, right?
Go in that direction, yes, and not the other way. So
do we have any questions?
I don't see any at the moment.
I mean, this is a lot, right? A lot of this is kind of on the advanced side of things. So that's part of it. Questions from anyone? MonkeyBread?
Commentary, requests, something you would like Christian to do.
Well, I always thought Stump the Monkey was one of the better things you could do, right? Where all you folks have your little pet projects that you have and you're trying to figure out how to solve them. And then you bring them to the show and you throw them at him and see if we can stump the monkey. Because I remember we've done it before where we had 10 or 11 people and there's one or two items that, like one or two he couldn't do. that weren't built in, and one of them he built the next day. So then he was down to one. So yeah, I always think that's a great idea. So for some of you have like specific situations where you want to integrate something or connect something or do something weird with a PDF, something unnatural with an Excel file or something, then you bring that and we ask it of Christian Schmitz and we see what he has. Because odds are he's already built it. It's already in MonkeyBread. You just have to find it is the hardest thing.
Yes. The options are there for you. You just need to go hunt him down. So I like to be
If you
honest.
if you like to talk to me directly, you can meet me next week on the French conference
Oh,
or on the Canadian one, or the one in Austria, the German one. I'll engage you in Antwerpen, which is the biggest one in Europe, with over 200 people.
yes.
And then I may go to the Japanese one.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So
anyone pick your conferences nearby and please join one.
yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. You have I appreciate how busy you always are, Christian. Like your fall and your spring are full up in terms of conferences.
Well, that's the thing. I need to hear from people what they need and or don't like, and then I can make a new function.
Yeah, that's how he knows how to do that.
We got a random one-off question for you.
Yeah.
I want to send post requests to WordPress REST API. Can I do that using MBS?
Yes.
How?
Oh, okay. Okay, let's go. So you would use the curl functions.
The list.
So there's curl perform is the main function. So you need here query REST API. You basically write a script like this, where you put in your URL for your REST web service. You put in your JSON you send there, username, password with whatever secrets you have. Maybe a header, and then you call perform and then pick the result. And that's it. If you just want to have a file to modify, you can pick whatever you like here. Like here we have a few web services examples. You could just take one of these and modify it. Let's see. This is a REST service here, I think. So no, this is a form sending. This is a different one. Or here we have this example for FileMaker admin API, which basically is similar. It's always the same. It's just URL, some options, perform, get the result. Yeah.
That's interesting. I might actually go mess with this myself.
Oh, here we do a patch. So when you send a custom request to a HTTP server, you can define whether it should be, put, post, delete, patch, whatever you like. And so we build an URL, we set a few headers, we build the JSON to send and put it in the input for the transfer. And we tell curl, this should be an upload, so please send this text to the server and use this as a verb for the transfer.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Well, there you go. That's how you do that. It exists. That's what you need to go execute that. So,
yeah.
Thank you as always, Christian.
If someone has an idea, please send me an email.
Yeah, if you're stuck, Margaret, we should have him back on Just Stump the Monkey.
I mean, I have a Q&A scheduled with Christian on the 30th, I think. Hopefully that's in your schedule somewhere, Christian. I'm not just randomly shoving you in places, but I believe.
I don't have many appointments at 10 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll be having one of those, I think, on the 30th of May. I think that's the day we picked on because, like I said, you're very busy this month, understandably so. But yeah, send an email to Christian. What was your email address again, Christian? I happen to know it. But
Support
still.
at monkeybreadsoftware.de.
Yep, there you go. He gets back to you at lightning speed. The amount of times that Richard and me have gotten stuck and gotten an immediate response is a lot. So,
Okay.
thank you everyone for coming. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.